Hi, this is Renee and Kent Miller, and we're here to talk about predictions. Today is March 4th, and we're going to be specifically talking about the coronavirus and
and future viruses.
And future viruses too, because this, we're told, is not going to be the first one. It's not the first, it's not the last. Okay, so we were wondering if we had been given some predictions on viruses. We're pretty sure we had, because we were expecting this, but we had to go back in our notes, and there was actually a couple predictions. One was in September of 2007. The other was in February of 2013. And then we've received more now.
Cover those two. Start with 2007.
So in 2007, we were warned that there was going to be a widespread virus, and that that it was like going to bring about authoritative rule. And that was our interpretation of the language that they used. And so you can see in China, for example, that they're using a lot of authoritative rule to gain control of the situation.
Well, in 2013, we kept getting sick. Renee got sick going to Sedona, and we had gotten flus, etc. Why are we getting sick? Well, what's going on? And it said,
so they explained that there was going to be an experience to come that was going to be much more widespread and much bigger.
We were exposing ourselves.
And that we needed to protect ourselves and to pay attention to our surroundings, because it was so easy for us to get exposed at that time. And there would be coming time where it was going to be much more pervasive throughout society, and we needed to really pay attention to our surroundings and not put ourselves into a position where we would be exposed in the future.
Yeah, so we had to protect ourselves, and it said, this is an example of what you're exposing yourself to. And so start protecting yourself, they told us. Well, this whole thing is human caused. That's
what you felt through that meditation.
That 2013, what's coming, which is now and increasing forward, is caused by humans. Whether they're caused by humans, the circulation of the virus, or the invention of the virus itself, we don't know.
And so I'm sure that time will tell, and that will be revealed as we gather our information about the origins of not only this coronavirus, but the one that's coming down the road.
It said this virus, what talks about this virus and other viruses coming down the road, they will come slowly.
And to watch this developing field, to watch the whole, they call it the circumference of the diameter. So the diameter is from one side to the other side and everything in between, and the circumference is the entire area that encompasses it. So we're to watch everything going on around us. And so what does that mean? Well, you need to watch the people around you. Are they getting sick? Are they feeling sick?
Well, like in this virus here, they're asymptomatic. You can't tell if they have the virus or not.
Right. And so you need to stay on top of your information where they're reporting recent outbreaks. Yeah. Now, this is, depending on the area you're talking about, this is having some devastating effects for China and Iran, but so far the U.S. hasn't quite seen that development yet. So we don't know where it's going. And also this virus is acting, the behavior is a little different than a flu. Although you would protect yourself from it, much like you would protect yourself from a flu, it is not influenza.
That's all we can do is perform hygiene. Correct hygiene.
and keep ourselves out of areas where we might be exposed. There are certain things that we're going to cover later that are going to address how to protect yourself.
Yeah, so we were talking about, the mentors talked about what would be beneficial to help protecting, not completely protecting, but help protect you from these diseases.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in just a minute, but just reading my notes.
2014, we got that.
And so combined, this is going to create some austere conditions. So when we talk about austerity, we're talking about very strict or limited abilities, and that could refer to our living standard not being able to move around, but it also could be referring to economically, where we have such a slowdown in the economy that it's really going to restrict our ability to buy things like we have in the past.
The supply chain will be tremendously interrupted.
Which we're already seeing.
Which we're already seeing that happening in this particular virus.
So the cause that they're talking about that may put people bring the death rate down to about 1 in 18,000. So that's lower than where it is right now.
That's 18,000 that are tested.
But this is another recent meditation that we received, that there was some sort of a cause that would reduce the death rate to approximately 1 in 18,000 people who have contracted coronavirus. And that cause is something like, what is the incentive behind what you're doing? And so just reading into it, it could be something like pushing this vaccination along, where it is following a shorter track to get it out onto the market, to get people vaccinated, to reduce the spread of this virus, and thus to stabilize the economy.
Yeah, and that's if this virus doesn't mutate into something else. We can create a vaccine could be created for this virus, as long as it doesn't mutate into a different form of virus.
And that's just the nature of viruses. All viruses have a potential to mutate, and that's just the fact of the matter. So once you're vaccinated, then, if there's significant mutations that occur, then possibly you wouldn't be necessarily protected against another virus that has had a lot of mutation.
Yeah.
So anyway,
this
coming virus that they talked about recently is that it is something that has not materialized yet, but is in the future. And that coming virus is going to be even deadlier than what we're seeing now.
It's going to cause a significant depopulation of the world.
Right. And so what we want to do is present this in more of how can we protect ourselves so that we're not catching these and we're not exposing ourselves unnecessarily to this.
Your risk will be minimal compared to not doing a lot of these things.
Well, so right now, if you look at what's going on in Iran, they're having a possible explosion of this virus, although some reports are saying that it may not be that it's completely being reported.
But
what's going on.
It's the way the human person acts with each other, shaking hands, hugging each other, all these things that humans came up with. And you're exposing more people. The density of the population is a big thing.
So what Ken is saying is that, you know, if we have the choice to go to, say, a concert during a time of a big outbreak. Now, we're not seeing huge outbreaks yet in the United States, but that could be brewing. But if you know that there is an outbreak in your area and you choose to go to a concert, you are putting yourself at a higher exposure of possibly getting the virus, because simply because you've got a lot of people crammed into a small space, and so that's going to increase your risk.
This is going to be up to you to make these decisions of where you want to go, where you want to be at the time of this outbreak.
And so we have to look at the field around us and see, you know, is there somebody who I'm nearby, say in the grocery store, and they're coughing? I probably want to move away from that.
And they may or may not have the virus, because if the flu happens, you might have that. Or right now the trees are giving off pollen, which creates a huge amount of irritation to the sinuses, and people get watery eyes, runny nose, etc., coughing. So
sometimes
it could be almost anything.
It's hard to tell because a dry cough that's seen with the coronavirus is also seen with allergies.
Right.
So, you know, you kind of have to look at the entire person and you know, ask yourself, do they look sick or do they look relatively healthy, but they've got this cough? It's going to be hard to say, but the smart thing would be to put some distance between you and that person. Now, the other thing is it's probably a good time to stop shaking hands. That's unnecessary.
You hit elbows, or
you can bump elbows. To do fist bumps is probably not as good
right now.
Right.
And hugging each other.
Hugging and kissing each other, you know, is probably a good idea.
Except for your own wife.
Just put it on rest for a while. Doesn't mean it's going to be permanent. But when you have outbreaks, you just need to be prudent about your behaviors and what you're doing, so you're not putting yourself at higher risk.
That's all you're doing. You're putting yourself at lower risk and not doing these things.
Right. Also, if you have a cough, cover the cough. And so if you don't have a handkerchief or a tissue, what is promoted is coughing into your elbow or the bend of your arm, so that you're not coughing on your hands and then touching something else that you're going to contaminate with.
Yeah, and Renee reminded me, we were at the store, and she said, don't pick through the fruit, because everybody picks through the fruit and they're leaving their germs on the fruit itself.
Right.
So just pick up the fruit, put it in the bag, wash it when you get home, wash your hands good as soon as don't touch your face between the store and home, but wash up real good, and then you're fine, or you should be.
And wash your fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
This virus, they're saying, has the ability to stay live on solid surfaces for up to 9 days, which is unlike the common cold and flu virus.
Which is just hours.
So whenever you're touching a public door handle, then you could be picking up the germs that were left there from everyone who's touched that for the last 9 days.
Or a handle on a gas pump.
Handles on a gas pump. Anything where you have, you know, the public is touching. Like yesterday, I was in the doctor's office and they have these little iPads that you were checking all your personal information on, and that is being handled by everyone that comes through that doctor's office or clinic or wherever you're going. So what do? Carry some hand gel with you so that you can, as soon as you're done, use the hand gel immediately.
The hand gel will not get total virus off you, but it will mitigate some of it.
It may work on some viruses,
right,
but
we're
not
not
all
sure, right,
viruses.
and we're
And
not
we
sure.
don't know, in reality, there's so little known about this coronavirus that we
Well-
don't know if the hand gel will work, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah,
If you can get to a bathroom and wash your hands
Mm-hmm.
vigorously, all surfaces, under the nails, the top of the nails, between your fingers for 20 seconds.
You can sing
And-
happy birthday to yourself twice.
Yes. So that's about 20 seconds long,
Yeah.
singing
Yeah.
happy birthday and
We
scrubbing your
don't know
hands
enough
good.
about this virus because not enough information by the leadership is being put out. But
I'm not
what
sure
does
if even scientists know a whole lot
Yeah,
about this. This
so
is pretty new.
either they're not
and-
giving information out or they don't know, one of the two.
They probably don't know at this point. It has to be studied further. But getting back to washing your hands, when you're in a public bathroom, you don't wash your hands and get them all clean and then turn off the faucet with your hand.
And open the door.
And then open the door with your hand because you've just recontaminated yourself. So you want to be able to use paper towel
Yeah.
and take your paper towel and use it to turn the faucet off and then open the door and throw the paper towel away at that point without touching either the faucet or the door.
Okay, those are just some of the things that we can think of off the top of our head.
And so the other thing is now we've got the N95 masks are the only ones that actually filter out viruses. So a surgical mask is not going to filter out viruses. A surgical mask leaves gaps here on the sides and gaps across the bridge of the nose. However, right now they're in short supply and not even the hospitals are being able to get them in sufficient supplies to provide to sick patients and also staff. So the staff are at risk of contracting.
We noticed that those that are not in the medical field, outside the medical field, are not wearing the mask properly.
Right. And so even though you have an N95 mask, if you're not being shown how to use it properly, then it's not going to help you. It's not going to
do any good.
And so what you want to do, an N95 mask has a metal band across the bridge of the nose. You need to take that and press it firmly across the nose so that it fits snugly against the skin, not only across the nose, but all the way down the cheek and under the chin. That should have a seal so that you don't have any air escaping anywhere around that mask. That's for people who already have N95 masks. Chances are, that you're not going to be able to get masks at this point in the game.
Yeah, we have to leave it for the medical people. The masks have to be used by the medical people, that is the fire department, the police, hospital staff.
Yeah.
That's very important that they need these units, supplies to help them with the patients.
It is. It's very important because they are at much higher risk because they're going to be the first responders and they're going to be the ones who are taking care of these patients. So if you don't already have a mask, they're recommending that you not get them. I've heard people say they don't work, and that is not exactly the complete truth, because if you do have an N95 mask, it does work if you were wearing it correctly, and that is the key. So anyway, moving on from that, you probably just want to protect yourself by not putting yourself in at higher risk by being in highly populated areas and shaking hands and that sort of thing. Now, beyond that, what we want to talk about is being health-wise in optimum condition so that you can survive getting sick. So one of those things is getting enough sleep. They've proven that people who are deficient in sleep have a hit to their immune system where their immunity is not working, their immune system is not working as efficiently as it can be because of lack of sleep. The other is lack of proper nutrition. And so in this day and age, when we are so likely to go by McDonald's or fast food restaurants, we're eating French fries instead of vegetables, like salad, then we're lacking in these vital nutrients that help our body work optimally and that help to keep our immune system working correctly.
And we should increase our vitamin C, high doses of vitamin C. And I've been told this since I was a kid. Take higher doses of vitamin C. If you can't get it through your vegetables, get vitamin C tablets that you can take at least 1,000 milligrams. You can't really overdose. Really, you can't hardly overdose in vitamin C.
It's a water-soluble vitamin. The ones that you have to worry about overdosing on are your fat solubles like A, E, and D.
Okay.
Now, the fruits and vegetables that have a lot of vitamin C are going to be your citrus, and also tomatoes are extremely high in vitamin C, so eat your tomatoes. That's going to be the most absorbable form is through your food, but if you can't do that for whatever reason, if you can get some vitamin C tablets, that's going to help improve your immune system. Now, some of the other things that we were told was some herbals. And I'm going to list those herbals with a very brief description of what they will do, but it is going to be up to you to do your own research, because for even for herbals, there are some things that you need to know about as far as drug interactions. And it particularly for people who are taking blood thinners, you want to be careful about a couple of these, and that would be turmeric and ginger, because they have some blood thinning qualities also that will exacerbate your ability to bleed.
We've been saying this for some time. It's time for you to do your homework. Okay? Yes. And how many times do I have to say this? There's Google out there. It's got vast amounts of information, etc. Use your computers or your iPhones or whatever. Get the information. Research it for yourself. We cannot say this will absolutely do this or this will absolutely do that. You have to, your own situation, whether drugs you're taking or whatever. You know what the repercussions will be with taking a drug that counteracts the drugs you're now taking. You have to do your own research, your own homework. Those that don't want to do it, that's fine. Those that are really interested will do this.
And that's really the next cycle that we're moving into, is to do our own homework, not just take it for granted what we are saying, but do your own research. And so, but that being said, we're going to list a few herbs that you can research. That would be horehound, and generally speaking, that's used as an expectorant, which would be to be able to loosen the phlegm in the chest to cough it out and clearing your bronchial airways. Quinine was another one that was mentioned, which was kind of interesting, and I don't know that it pertains to this current coronavirus outbreak or malaria is usually what it was used for. And certain areas were endemic to malaria. Certainly where we live was endemic to malaria, and it was knocked out in the past. But does it mean that we're going to have a surge in the future? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. And so what were some of the other ones? Valerian So valerian is known for its peculiar smell that smells very much like stinky feet.
Smells like tennis shoes in a locker room in the middle of summer.
But valerian has this calming ability. It's kind of produces kind of a sedate, calming ability within the body. And what it does is it allows a scaling back of the cortisol, the stress hormone, so that your immune system can function properly. Then the turmeric helps decrease inflammation. That was one of the herbs that we were given previously years ago for this, and I'm not quite certain. You'll have to do your research on this one because I'm not certain how it would affect it's probably the overall health of the body so that you can resist infection.
And that you use the word resist, help resist.
Yes, and ginger, the same thing, but ginger also is something that can help to clear up the respiratory tract infections and reduce cough. And so these are not cures. These are probably used in a holistic fashion.
Just to help keep you healthy enough that the virus will hit you, you will have a milder case of the virus.
Right.
Yeah, or if flu hits you, you have a milder case. This will help keep you healthier.
Now, this is something very interesting too, and that is back, I believe it was in 1918 when the Spanish flu was going around, and they sent health workers out to the farmers' houses who were quite rural, and to check up on them, see how the family was doing. They noticed that a lot of these families were doing quite well. And so this one particular health worker said to the farmer's wife, what is it that you're doing that is enabling your family to stay healthy? And what she said was, we cut an onion in half and put a half of an onion in every room. And that's what's keeping us healthy. So the health worker said, well, can I take one of those onion halves back to the office with me? I want to put it under the microscope and take a look at it. And she said, sure. So the health worker goes back, takes this onion back to the office and does a thin slide of this onion, puts it under the microscope, and discovers that this onion had absorbed the virus out of the air. So that is something that perhaps might help when you have somebody sick in the house with any virus, cold, flu, or coronavirus, otherwise, may help to reduce the exposure rate by absorbing some of that virus that might be floating around in the air.
We don't know, but this is what's been told.
Right. So do your own homework. And then sambucol or elderberry syrup has been clinically proven to help with colds and flus. So again, if we're talking about a virus, this may help with this coronavirus if you're looking at a natural approach. And also along with that would be zinc lozenges and colloidal silver nasal spray. Now, we don't recommend you drink the colloidal silver unless you want to look like a blueberry. Eventually you could turn blue and it's permanent. And so the zinc and the colloidal silver simply help to keep the virus from attaching to those tissues of the nose and the throat so that it doesn't spread. So it kind of keeps it isolated.
And remember, you can also, the virus can also get in your eyes.
Right. So you don't want to be touching your face or touching your eyes.
Because I noticed a lot of people wearing masks, but they're not protecting their eyes.
Yes. And so if you are around somebody with coronavirus, then you probably want some goggles that have a seal around them. You can find that at Home Depot, and it's for like chemical sort of protection type goggles.
Yeah. Okay, other than that, we're similar to DNA changes in the viruses and bacteria that are happening all around us.
So this was another meditation or a lesson that we received during Kent's meditation back in April of 2018. And that was that everything is, not everything, but many things are being set back to what they call 0 point genetically. And so what we're seeing is a revitalization and virility coming out of that genetic setting back to a 0 point, where to me it speaks of like a starting point where it was unaffected by all of our chemical exposures that we have been subjected to in recent times. But with that, it is causing even the smallest of things like viruses and things like that to be more viral. And so eventually we will catch up to that genetically, and we will be less likely to get sick, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. So with this information that we've just given you, we hope that you will do your research and homework yourself, depending on your own events in your own family and yourself. And do this, and you'll open your eyes to what you really need and what you really don't need.
Yeah, and be smart. And I think, you know, as we see that this virus spreads here in the United States, which we expect that it will, that you might want to be stocked up on food and supplies, just so that you don't have to go to the store quite so often right, and expose yourself. It's all about being prudent, about being practical about this, not about fear. But
fear and panic gets us absolutely nowhere. It creates more chaos than what we already have. Settle down, calm yourself, do your research, and remember, information helps you to become a stronger person.
Yes. So we hope that maybe we've helped in some way. And remember, you know, this is probably not going to be as bad as something that's going to develop in the future at some point. We don't have a timeline for that. So it's a good exercise in learning how to deal with this situation, so that when the bigger one comes, that we know how to deal with it more effectively.
Now with that, hit subscribe, as you see, I guess on the bottom or wherever it is. If you like this video, hit subscribe, and we'll be doing more videos on what's happening currently and what's coming.
And also you can check out our other videos on lessons, spiritual lessons that we've received from the ancients and other professors of the spirit realm. And that goes more into our whole purpose of life, why we're here, purpose of creation, that sort of thing. We do have Anchor podcast too. Visit us there at anchor.fm, the augmentation of man.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for listening. And as always, peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Take care now. Bye-bye.